Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann is about the Osage Reign of Terror, which is from 1921 to 1926. Osage Indians were being murdered in cold blood for access to their shares of oil money. Grann divides his story into 3 parts. The first part of the book is set in early 1920s, and it focuses on the Osage Nation and one family in particular. Molly Burkhart is a full-blooded Osage woman and is married to a white man named Ernest Burkhart. Her sisters are also married to other white men. After her 2 sisters passed, one from a mysterious illness and the other being found dead in a valley, Molly begins to believe her family is being targeted for their head rights. Just then, months later, when Molly's mother, Lizzie, dies in the same wasting illness, Molly knows that for sure her family is being picked off one by one and she is next. In the second part of the book, Grann looks at the federal investigators who arrive in Osage County to look into the string of murders led by J. Edgar Hoover. Hoover sent Tom White, who is a former Texas Ranger, to investigate. White and his team arrive undercover in town, knowing that Hoover depends on this case for the FBI. Ernest Burkhart's uncle, William K. Hale, is a former cattle rancher and is raised to prominence and is now a deputy sheriff. As White and his investigator teams work within the community, they come to realize that Hale has created a vast plot to pick off Molly's family members and then murder Molly's family to get her entire family's fortune. Worst of all, Molly's husband Ernest, Hale's nephew, has been in the plot all along. White and his team confront Hale with all the evidence, but Hale stays calm and collected and gleefully states that he will fight the allegations. White worries that Hale has the judge and jury in his pocket, but Hale is convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment for his crimes. In the third part of the book, David Grann makes a series of several trips to the Osage reservations from 2012 to 2015. He conducted many researches for the book, as well as digging tirelessly through U.S. National Archives, and conducts interviews with the Burkhart's descendants and many other Osage families affected by the Reign of Terror. He eventually comes to see that the Bureau actually failed to solve majority of the Osage murders and covered up the fact that hundreds of Osage Indians, not just 20 or 30, were murdered in the span of nearly 2 decades, not the 5 years that officially deemed the Reign of Terror. Grann also brings up the tribe's terrible past has mostly been lost to history. Their story is not taught in schools, and because of the FBI's failure to secure justice for the Osage people, it has been largely swept under the rug. History is often thought as a merciless judge, and Grann quotes, knowing that sometimes justice can never be obtained. And that is the end of the book.